let's take the other subject that kind of brings more clarity to this understanding. Jesus and the return of Elijah. This is a key story, if there ever was any story that can help us understand how the return takes place. What is meant by the term, the return?
Elijah was a prophet sent to purify the nation of Israel, who spoke out against evil of King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. He fled into the wilderness and lived off the land, and was known for his wild hair, animal skin clothing, staff, and belt. And he goes to heaven in a fiery chariot. And then we have John the Baptist, a prophet sent to purify the nation of Israel, who spoke out against evil of King Herod and his sister-in-law, Herodias. He fled into the wilderness and lived off the land, was known for his wild hair, animal skin clothing, staff, and belt. He was put to death by Herod because of the dance of the 7 veils.
You see the similarity of their lifestyle. Both took on a king and queen. In both cases, it was the queen who was more vicious. Queen Jezebel was really out to get Elijah, and Herodias was out to get John the Baptist. Elijah prophesied that Jezebel's body, because of her wickedness, her blood would be licked up by the dogs in the street. And along the way, some of her subjects grabbed her, threw her over the edge of the castle. She fell on the rocks below, and the dogs came, and the prophecy was fulfilled. Now, but the key is that his style of having to flee into the wilderness to escape the agents sent by the queen to kill him is exactly what happened to John the Baptist. In this case, he fled into the wilderness and hid. They both ate off the land. It says that John the Baptist ate locusts and honey to stay alive. And he dressed in animal skins. The similarity is undeniable. Now we talk about the fact that it's prophesied that Elijah will return just before the day of the coming of the Messiah. And we're going to take that on next.
So some quotes that relate to the return of Elijah. Quote 39, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and dreadful day of the Lord."
Now this is the last verse in the Hebrew Bible. The last prophecy, statement, teaching. The very last thing, that's what it says. He's ending generations of scripture writing. And he says, okay, basically it's done with. Now then, the day is coming, but I will send you Elijah the prophet before it happens. If you were a Jew at that time, it would be very understandable that you believe if God took Elijah to heaven, he was so virtuous, so righteous, he didn't have to die. A fiery chariot came down from heaven and took him up into the heavens above. Now, if you're believing he's coming back, well, it's pretty obvious how he's going to come. A fiery chariot will descend out of the sky. Where will it land? Why, downtown Jerusalem, of course, the capital city. And where in the capital city? Why, right in front of the temple, of course. Where else would Elijah come from? So the next time you see a fiery chariot coming out of the sky, landing in downtown Jerusalem in front of the temple, that's the time for you to straighten up your life. Stop cheating the people, stop being abusive to the people in your life, and straighten up and start flying right, because now you know the Messiah is coming. Unfortunately, a lot of people are still waiting for that fiery chariot. But you can understand when people take things literally, what happens to them. And in this case, a person comes whose name is John. And let's read what happens to him.
Quote 40, "And they asked him, What then art thou, Elias? Elijah? And he saith, I am not."
Okay, first of all, in Hebrew, the name is Elijah. In Aramaic, which is the language spoken in the time of Jesus, they had translated his name to be Elias, but it's the same figure. And the clergy came to John and said all kinds of things. Are you this? Are you that? They're trying to figure out who he is and who he's supposed to be. And then someone said, are you Elijah? And John says, I am not. Because it's true. He's not Elijah. His name is John. So literally speaking, he's telling them the truth. No, but he does say, by the way, but I am one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, which is precisely what Elijah's supposed to come back and do, is prepare the way of the Lord. So John is saying, I have the job, but I'm not Elijah. And then later on, the disciples, some of who were there and heard this, they were former followers of John, and they went over and became followers of Christ. So later on, they asked Jesus, where's Elijah? Elijah was supposed to come first. And this is Jesus answering the question in the next 41.
Quote 41. Christ speaks and interprets. And if you will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. He that has ears to hear, let him hear.
In other words, I'm telling you that he is Elijah. But you have to have what? Inner vision, inner understanding. You have to have a spiritual perception to see that this is Elijah.
Quote 42. Jesus speaking, and he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias.
In other words, what it means by the return of Elijah is the spirit and power speaking and guiding and illuminating Elijah is the same spirit and power of God that's enlightening John. It's not the return of the physical phenomena, but the same spirit, attitude, and pattern is there.